All right, welcome back to the Seed Talk podcast. We are excited. Today we have Luka Pataky, the Senior Vice President of Automated Content for SportRadar, joining us today. SportRadar is a leading global sports technology company, creating immersive experience for sports fans and bettors. Luka, thanks for joining. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. I'm excited for this because, especially with the automated content side of kind of what you were doing, and obviously everything that is going into kind of the AI space and what feels like it's coming from a sports perspective. So I'd love to start there. Like, how have you seen? I know you've been at Sport Radar for like the last 8 years, 8-9 years or so. What have you kind of seen in this space? What's the transformation been in this space over that time that you kind of seen within sports, and where do you maybe see sport maybe in general kind of moving toward?
Yeah, I mean, indeed, I've been with SportRadar just over 10 years, and actually, um, currently I'm focusing on automated content area, and actually, it sounds quite interesting, and actually, it is really interesting. The main thing that my team focuses is about creating content in automated way. That means that there is a lot of like really advanced tech around AI, computer vision, machine learning, deep learning. um, I would say in general, our focus and our main kind of core area is, of course, sports data and how does sports data enhance experiences. And we feel sports data over the last years or decade and even more has really been like the fuel of a lot of new experiences, new insight, whether it's for athletes, for fans, and so yeah, that's sort of where we've been. And one thing that I would say really shows over the last years and where that industry developed when it comes to sports data is that actually more and more data is needed to power experiences, to create insights, to engage fans. And I often say, like, what was once enough in terms of very kind of basic statistics and something that would engage and create narrative is just not enough. And we see that technology plays a key role here in order for us to be able to create more data, to create more content, because yeah, that's then really driving the more engaging insight that creates the streaming experience, which is a lot more engaging, augmented or virtual, creates new betting opportunities. Attention spans are shrinking, and that's also something that has been seen not just in sports, like everywhere, but in sports as well. And so we need to find also ways of how we use technology and data to actually tap into that new generation and create those sort of short form forms of entertainment and engagement. And again, that's something where technology and deeper data and tracking data helps kind of create these sort of snackable, quick insights that drag people into it. So that we've been always centered around sports data and around creating fan engagement for the fans, and actually making it, like, bringing it to the new level.
Yeah, I love that we start there, and just to back up a little bit. You guys have been going since 2001. Can you give a little bit more of an outlook? Where you don't have to go too granular, but real high level, because I think your Sport Radar is so multifaceted, and you see that with the partnerships that you guys have generated. So you have the content side of things, like you said, from the data and polling. And by the way, I always love to say this, and I love where you guys are at. I gotta see you, because data is currency out here.
Yes, absolutely.
That is 100% currency. It's like you guys have kind of set yourself up as the Google at the moment, as the basis for a lot of these companies. So can you just kind of give a breakdown of the different directions and the different avenues that you guys allow, or make yourself available to for partnerships and for different organizations?
Yeah, of course. So I think you guys already mentioned at the beginning. So we are a sports technology company, really a global player, and we try to create products and services and experiences that engage fans and bettors. That's a good way to say what we are doing. But what's even more important is that what we provide is a very robust sports data and tech platform, which is critical infrastructure for a lot of our partners in betting and in sports media industry. Ultimately, we are business to consumer company, I would say. So meaning we work very closely with our partners, whether that's leagues, teams, betting companies, media companies, and we build products and services that then help engage fans. So we'll be very present in the betting industry, where we have more than 900 customers. We will be a source of live scores and statistics for media outlets. We serve teams and leagues with real-time analytics, video breakdowns to help improve coaching and performance. And actually, one thing that is really also very important to us is that because we are so deep in the sports betting industry, we also monitor the data to detect critical patterns, to show that everything is fine, and try to or identify potential match fixing, so that we can also make sure that sports stay safe. So we are really present in kind of all of these I would say layers in the
Right.
market where data is kind of needed to power products.
Yeah, I'll go back to the content side if I can. And you talked
Sure.
about data kind of helping you to create content, create. You talked about really kind of like everybody now, right? Our attention span is so small. How have you been able to take and really action data so that it's hitting especially younger consumers in this kind of YouTube, TikTok kind of era that we're in right now?
Yeah, so I think this is where really technology comes in, and what actually my team also tries to focus on. So we've realized that to get to that sort of really kind of short form insight content, whether it's highlights or just some sort of a narrative, or micro betting, which is again a new form of betting where you don't necessarily need to join in for the whole game and watch the whole game, but you can step in for a short while, you get engaged with this, and then you can step out. And we realized that in order to go there, we just need to kind of increase the data scope, I guess, if I can say it like this. And the only way we can do this is by using technology. And what that helped us do is, like, if you compare something that we do by using computer vision, where we analyze video from the venue and we extract more information out of it, we can get up to 100 times more data out of it. So we're talking about ball positions tracking. You guys will be very familiar with this, and that actually helps then create those experiences. And when we talk specifically what it is, so we've built products that actually augment stream, so start overlaying with interesting stats that are relevant, like contextually relevant, that actually kind of pull a person in, that also allow broadcaster or reporter to kind of build narrative around. Then, like, something that we very recently launched, for example, in table tennis, which is a very big betting sport, is kind of ability to bet on number of bounces on the table. And we are talking about something where, on every rally, which lasts like anything between 20 seconds and 40 seconds, you have like a betting opportunity. And again, you don't need to step in for the whole game. You can play a bit and then go out. And so that's where you grab the attention for these short periods. And that's how we see how these types of data, so deeper data, and the only way to get to it is automated, and the only way to analyze it is AI. Trading and odds calculation, everything has to be completely automated. And so that's really how we tap into this market. Of course, then there's also performance aspect of it, and how leagues and teams can use all of this data. But ultimately, tech is the key element here. And also for us, everything these days is around AI, and we see that AI will power pretty much all of our products, and that's how you get that competitive edge in the market.
Yeah, and I think since you guys have been going since '01, I mean, you guys have so many APIs that want to go, specific for different organizations, different leagues, whether if it's NBA, whether if it's NASCAR. So you've been spearheading the table tennis initiative, and like you just broke down, how hard is it right now? Because you're a leader in the space. And as you're training these models, how hard is it working with your data scientists to stay ahead of the curve so that you can continue to be that go-to partner for whether if it's a future partnership that you're looking for or your current partnerships? Because like you said, the betting landscape is so dynamic. So how are you guys, staying ahead of the curve? And what's your powered strategy there?
Yeah, so when it comes to like data science and AI, it's a field that you can never kind of fall asleep on. That tech is evolving so fast, and actually even if you would ask me like 5 or 6 years ago about some things that we do today, I probably wouldn't have an answer for it, or I wouldn't quite know how we will get there.
Mm-hmm.
And this has evolved a lot. Like computer vision is not a new field. Like it exists for quite a long time, and there's a lot of applications that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, only let's say the last 10 years, um, with the more sort of appearance of deep learning, with transfer learning and things like that, that really kind of enabled a lot of use cases that before were not possible, because you either needed enormous data sets or you needed enormous processing power, and all of this is
Right.
becoming available. But you can never fall asleep on this. So like all of our kind of computer vision deep learning engineers, they try to stay in touch with what's happening. We constantly like look at how we can further apply technology to help our products. And yeah, that's the only way how you can do it, because otherwise very likely you fall behind if you don't follow
Yeah.
the trends and where the tech is going. And we've always tried to do this. And yeah, the table tennis initiative, I always say to my colleagues, this one is really the first time where for SportRadar, at least for one sport, we've kind of automated the full workflow, right? We are talking from the very acquisition of all the data that is collected, all the way to all the odds calculation, trading and delivery of products. Like everything is so AI powered, and it's extremely scalable. So like it's 200,000 events per year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, runs like automated with some really really interesting thing, tech behind it. And yeah, I always get kind of a bit of goosebumps when I talk about it, because it is really really
It's
powerful, and also sometimes difficult to explain how exciting it is.
Yeah, I mean, for one, I mean, you've been spearheading computer vision, and one, the processing power that it takes to compute everything that you guys are doing and synthesizing at the edge, and I think it's amazing in real time synthesis of and processing of skeletal movement, like you said, the ball
Yeah,
bouncing. You're making it easy for bettors. I said this to Sterling a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I don't know how people lose money out here, and then from that angle, because it should come back to the law of averages. If you're seeing real-time data being processed, you should see if a player has a certain percentage where
of course. Yeah,
they end up winning after, say, a long, however long it takes for them to play for a rally in this game or something like that. And then it should what you position and what you put out there should benefit bettors in such a way where, like, you're essentially playing at the craps table. You have the best odds against the house. You're making it fun, and you're making it easy for those that are also novices to get into this area. So I just think it's really cool for what you guys have positioned, and I think it's very innovative. I think you're starting off with table tennis now, and I think you're looking to position yourself to move into tennis.
yeah.
I just think that's really cool, and it's a platform that continues to keep you guys out in the forefront as one of the leaders in the industry.
Yeah, and it's as you said, we started with table tennis. We're actually already quite actively working on tennis, on basketball, some other sports, and kind of looking at similar approaches. Everywhere it's how we can enhance the streaming. So with like more augmented streaming or more immersive streaming, we're looking at micro markets. So you start again like shortening that cycle. So this is the same kind of idea across different sports. And yeah, so definitely going that direction. And but what also is quite exciting from like automated content team is that every sport presents like different challenges from the deep learning machine learning perspective. Yes, table tennis, for example, is like relatively contained environment, so from that perspective good, but it's a very fast sport, right? The ball is
Right.
probably the fastest of all of them. So what we are using, for example, is pretty high frame rate camera, like 120 images per second. And now imagine how much data comes out of this, right? From every single image you have like skeletal tracking, ball position. We are talking about so much data that can drive an insight, like can understand better like which player is pressuring on which player in terms of a game, like how that enhances predictions. There's a lot of stuff actually that comes out of this. And yeah, but every sport is a different kind of beast to tackle, and it's challenging, and there's always like positives and negatives. And yeah, we are now super excited also about team sports and how that applies there. It's going to be also a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you talk about that. I guess kind of that you talked about the content overlay a little bit. That next frontier for you, obviously with streaming and what that impact is, and now with Apple kind of rolling out their their 4K and their VR glasses that are coming out. What do you see in terms of that? Are there challenges with that in terms of the technology and kind of capturing that data, or is it going to be fairly seamless for what you guys have already kind of established and what you kind of hope to integrate into?
Yeah, so actually fan engagement is also one of really important verticals in SportRadar, and part of that is also looking at virtualization. And so how can you take all of these 3D data, skeletal data, and actually create like completely immersive virtual experiences and in real time. We've always been like fully real time focused, right? For us, the value of data is within the first 5 to 10 seconds, and after that that value starts to decrease. So even when we are talking about virtualization, we are always thinking about how can we create like virtual worlds and virtual experiences in real time. And the technology is there, right? Unreal Engine, I don't know how much you guys seen of this, but there's some stuff which is really photorealistic, like you can almost not believe it. The processing power is there, and it's only gonna get better. So yeah, it still requires a lot of data, it still requires a lot of processing power, but these things are getting more available, and this is definitely coming, right? And it creates then maybe 2-3 years ago still people looked at this as something like far in the future, but I think the time when you can actually place yourself into the field and you can really move around and in real time watch the game from wherever you want, this is not far away anymore. And data and all the tracking systems are starting to allow that, and we are very close to that.
Yeah, I mean, I find it so impressive just because the scale that you guys are currently at. I mean, I would love to dive down and be like, how do you guys keep your availability up? Because you guys got to have, with as much mission critical equipment that you guys have, 100% availability here, and then also, I think a big thing right now, because you guys have partnered in so many different avenues, and security and cybersecurity is such a strong issue right now. So how have you guys been able to, really hone in and one, provide that availability, whether if it's 100% 6.9s, wherever you are across the globe, keep that low latency, and then also provide that security blanket as well. It's kind of a big question. It's a lot there, but I'm just very interested because I mean, you guys you're global, and the processing power that you guys have is just so powerful. So just really curious there as to how you guys accomplish that, because it's very impressive.
Yeah, and probably I'm not fully the right person, so I'm not.
Sorry about that. You're good. You're good.
I can tell you for sure. I mean, as I said earlier, right? We serve as critical infrastructure to a lot of businesses, and they depend on that, and they depend on accuracy and quality and reliability and latency, right? And that has been always from day one the most important thing. And actually, even interestingly, we've approached computer vision also always from that perspective, right? And also I talked to a lot of startups that do similar things, and we always kind of also explain how we approach it, and they are often also quite impressed, like how we manage to do things with this tech in real time and with such high accuracy. But that has always been really important for us. And yeah, it's I'm also I wouldn't say impressed. I know that the team works hard to achieve that. And there's a lot of teams that work on making sure that we have reliable systems. But yeah, it's absolutely the core of the business, and it has to be like that. And we managed to, and that's why also we are respected partner for many organizations, for federations, because we can ensure that level of reliability. But yeah, since I'm not really from that area, I probably can't give you
you're
more
good. I just thought it was really interesting, and part of me was like, man, Taylor, don't ask that. But I was like, let me still just ask, because my curiosity is got the best of me, because I just think that from what you're releasing and how you've developed computer vision, and then where you all have also positioned yourself with different sports leagues, and then where you're doing to continue to build on the fan engagement that you guys have had. So I just thought that was just was just really cool.
And even in computer vision data collection, right? If I just look at that part, there is like we have a lot of systems that run 24/7 in the cloud, and so again, that requires like a lot of focus on making sure it's highly reliable and highly available system. And again, like a whole team just kind of make sure that those cloud services constantly run, and that if something falls down, there is a backup available to take over. Because it's a 24/7 running, and sometimes our approach in a lot of this is like we really want these systems to be as automated as possible, so least intervention, right? And that's kind of the approach. And it's the team needs to stay focused and constantly see how they can improve the system so that we can deliver the reliable service.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. What are you all focused on kind of now? I know NASCAR just kind of happened, BetMGM, if I'm correct there, right? From a partnership perspective, what's next kind of like for your team? What are you kind of focused on now moving into 2024?
So for my team, from the automated content perspective, we are really looking at how we scale that from what we've done in table tennis, and how can we support like further growth in other sports. And definitely the next steps are NBA and tennis, and we've secured, we are a partner of NBA, and there's a lot of ideas and a lot of work together with the league to try to kind of bring new experiences. And some of these ideas around augmented streaming are also, of course, ideas that we want to bring to the table there. And then, of course, also you will know that we've partnered with ATP, so it's also another one from tennis where we are looking at how we can also strengthen that relationship, bring stuff to fans there. So really the focus for my team is how can we take what we've learned and done for table tennis and apply those in sports. That table tennis is a very betting sport, and now we are looking at how we also go out just of betting, but also really creating like fan and athlete experiences as well. So that will be kind of like the team's focus for the next year.
I want to look at it a little bit too from the player perspective, because all the data that you guys process, they're able to improve their game as well. So how's that been? What's the feedback been from players, whether if it's table tennis, as you've been into tennis? Have they seen kind of a certain jump in their game, or they're just like, wow, I didn't have this data before, and then now I can see where I've had shortcomings in my game and I can strengthen it in here and these different areas?
Yeah, so I would say the area or the sport where we are most present when it comes to coaching is basketball. A few years ago, we've acquired Synergy, a company that was quite strongly present in basketball, and actually also with the coaching platform. And so that's where, of course, we've seen a lot of kind of positive feedback and response to using more tracking data to help in performance analysis. We in tennis and in table tennis, I would say, haven't yet been so far into the athlete. In table tennis, we have built some sort of initial views on how actually some of the statistics could help them understand a little bit better how they perform, but that has not yet, let's say, shown, like it has not yet scaled up a lot. So currently most that we do in the performance is definitely in basketball, and looking in other sports where it also would make sense, especially where we already have a bit stronger presence with tracking data and where we can actually supply this to athletes. But the responses are always good, and you can also see from a lot of smaller startup companies, they are like in CV space, computer vision and machine learning, they are very heavily in this space, and you can see that there is a lot of positive response on how tracking data can help improve performance, tactics, just in general the game.
Yeah, it's got to be tough for me. Like if I had that tracking me, it would just confirm me, like, Taylor, you suck.
Yeah,
give it up.
It's like you're not doing anything out there, right?
You should probably stop shooting from three and just do some layups. Let's start small and then build there. That's what I always think I find funny, because I would love to use it just because I want to humble some people out here. Just for people, especially my co-host over there on my right or left, however you can see it, be like, you know what? You thought you were great, but the data is saying, you know what, buddy, go sit on the bench. That's what it's telling me.
I used to be long time ago. Luka, were you a sports guy growing up? How did you get into kind of sports technology?
So I did play some sports. I played tennis for quite a long time. I never so much enjoyed watching tennis. Actually, I always enjoyed more playing. I actually always enjoyed more playing sports than watching sports. I'm not like, I would say, like very big fan. Like, I'm more a social fan. So I
Yeah.
watch games, but it's more for a social experience. Not
Mm-hmm.
I don't I'm not I wouldn't call myself like a big fan, but I do like sports.
Mm-hmm.
And sports technology, so it's an interesting journey, actually. So I mean, I've started with SportRadar just a bit under 10 years ago, and actually very quickly in my journey with SportRadar, at one point, myself and two of my colleagues at that time decided, like, we want to make sure that SportRadar always stays at the front of the industry, that we
Mm-hmm.
always find time and space to explore technologies. And so we started innovation team. So actually that was kind of the start. And last, I would say, 6 years were really, really heavily surrounded with sports and tech. So always thinking about how we can take the technology out there. It was blockchain, and then
Mm-hmm.
AI and computer vision, and try different things. So I always liked technology, but I liked it always from the perspective of how can it create a value for the business, right? Because
Right.
it's always very easy to get overwhelmed by it. There's a lot out there, and
Mm-hmm.
very quickly you can jump on it, and you have, and it's all over the place. I always wanted to make sure that when we do use it, we kind of try to understand what problem are we solving for us, and then actually
Mm-hmm.
really apply it there. And that has always been the idea, and I like this. It really keeps me awake, or wakes me up every morning, and
Yeah.
really wanting to try and do more, because it is really an exciting space, and it's still evolving, and it's still growing, and I really don't see the end of it, I would say.
I'm with you. That's why we love talking this cross section of sports and technology for sports tech, and it's not in its infancy, but it's and it's such a beginning stage still, and has
Yeah.
so far to go. And it's so dynamic, like you said, always moving parts within the industry. Because, like you said, stuff that keeps you up. You're like, oh well, what's tangible? What can continue to improve, like sports, and how can one from the fan perspective benefit off of this, and then also on the back end, players being able to reap the benefits, like we were just talking about previously, with analyzing the data. On a side note, because you said you came up on tennis, are you a hard line on tennis versus pickleball over here with the rise in pickleball? Are you guys going to dive into that pickleball space too?
It's definitely something that's on the radar. There's a lot of interesting, I would say, emerging racket sports these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are looking into it. Paddle, pickleball. There's a lot of stuff, and actually also a lot of tech, because there is, I would say, currently a little bit more work on racket sports. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
this tech is transferable,
Mm-hmm.
and the sports are also becoming more and more popular. So yeah, it seems we've kind of currently narrowed our focus quite well in terms of where the growth is coming from. So we are looking into it. So stay tuned. I'm sure there's going to be something coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, Luka, we're almost at 30 here, kind of a time here. Do you want to plug anything? Is there anything you want for the fans out there, or anyone that's kind of like a potential partner to kind of hear from you?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone who is super excited about again this tech AI, how it's applied to sports data collection, or just like analysis of data, yeah, get in touch with me. Easiest these days to reach out to me on LinkedIn. But yeah, we always like to hear from startups that are in this space, because yeah, we are a big company, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't do everything you want to, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always good to find partners who can also help you with that respect. And yeah, always on the lookout, to be honest, to find
Mm-hmm.
like new technologies and see how we can partner with someone.
Nice. Well, no, this has been great. It's awesome to learn. I know Taylor asked you a couple super deep dive questions, so
Sorry
appreciate
about
you.
that. Sorry, my bad. They're large questions, but I mean, I was curious. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, appreciate you hanging there and answering those. So this is truly, it's been awesome to kind of learn from you and to really kind of get an understanding of what you're doing from your team perspective, what SportRadar is doing, and kind of the next foray into sports data and really kind of the sports analytics perspective of how we're gonna, where it's kind of going and transforming. So thanks so much for joining the C-Talk podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure. And see you soon sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.